It's your boy KP.
Mike the Expert.
You now tune into the Two Player Sports Podcast. You know we got you covered when it talks about NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, boxing, whatever it is. If it's a sport, we cover it. That's what the Two Player Sports Podcast is all about. This episode of the Two Player Sports Podcast is brought to you by Boy Retro. Boy Retro is a new clothing line that is completely inspired by the 80s and 90s, which we all know is the pinnacle of all things retro, whether we're talking about entertainment or gaming or even sports. Boy Retro has you completely covered, whether you're looking for t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, hats, as well as truckers. You can find Boy Retro at boyretro.com. Remember, Boy Retro is completely retro beyond its years. We thank them for the support. Now back to the show. Mike the Expert, what team are we discussing today?
Today we are discussing the Dallas Mavericks.
This is going to be a fun one right here.
Yeah, most definitely.
So when we talk about the Dallas Mavericks, last year they finished 38-44, missed the playoffs. I think a lot of that had to do with just the team not being congruent. You brought Kyrie in the middle of the season, obviously. You did have some health concerns from Luka and from Kyrie. And I think they thought it was in their best interest from a draft perspective to miss the playoffs, although the ping pong balls did not go their way. What you think, Mike?
Yeah. I think what hurt them last season was kind of like what you said. They brought in Kyrie Irving. Their defense, they weren't a great defensive team. Kyrie, Luka, they weren't used to playing together. Luka definitely wasn't used to playing with a guy like Kyrie Irving. Both of them are ball dominant. It just wasn't really working out. I think now that they have, time to really gel together and play together, their team will be a little bit better.
Definitely. And I think what hurt them the most is obviously missing the playoffs. And you talk about the ping pong balls not falling your way. You don't get Scoot Henderson. You don't get Victor Wembanyama. You don't walk away with any of the top 5 players in the draft. And I think that's something that is going to be concerning going forward because you're relying so heavily on Kyrie and Luka.
Ooh, could you think of this team if they would have got Victor to go with Luka? And you got Kyrie there. Oh my goodness. That would have been crazy. That would have been crazy.
Very much so. Yeah. I would even say, even if you had a guy Scoot Henderson, I know he's a point guard and Kyrie's a point guard, but Kyrie's a bigger point guard than Scoot is. And not saying that Kyrie's a super big guy, but you could have moved Kyrie to the shooting guard and he could have been like your Allen Iverson and have a point guard and Scoot to set the offense up. But again, man, it's got to be tough for Mark Cuban to miss out on all the top talent and you don't walk away with a top 5 pick. I would definitely be pretty angry if I was Mark Cuban.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. They missed out. I mean, think about it. You would have had Luka at the 3 if you got Scoot Henderson. That would have been wild right there. And then you have some defenders. You have Williams there. Oh, that would have been crazy right there.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. You walked away with the 10th pick in the draft. I mean, you're still in the lottery, but you're the 10th pick.
Yeah, I mean, it could turn into something. You never know.
Look at Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell, Kawhi Leonard, all those guys are later picks. So
you might find you a Draymond Green.
Yeah, Draymond Green, a 2nd-round pick at that. Yeah, definitely. So when we talk about the Mavs, let's talk about what happened last season. We know they finished at 38-44. You made a trade for Kyrie Irving. You bring him in. What are the numbers telling you about how Kyrie performed last season? Now, we know that split between Brooklyn and Dallas.
Yeah. Well, Kyrie, I mean, he did his usual thing, 27 points a game. He got 5 rebounds, which is good for him, 6 assists. He only averaged 2 turnovers, so that's real good. He's a ball general. I mean, nobody handles the ball better than a Kyrie Irving. So, I mean, he had great numbers. He's not really, how can I say it? He's not really he's not a traditional point guard. He's not like a Jason Kidd or anything. Like if he could pass like a Jason Kidd with the skills that he already has, he would probably be one of the greatest players to ever play the game. But, he is what he is. He really adds to your team. So he had a pretty good season. He's just not a good defender, and that kind of helps. I mean, that helps. That kind of hurts. But overall, he played well.
I think it was a really good addition. I do know that people have been hard on Kyrie for his personal things. When we talk about on the court, this is a guy that's a closer. He's a guy that helped the Cavs win the championship in 2016. He's a guy I affectionately like to call the little Mamba because he plays a lot like Kobe Bryant with
Oh yeah,
crazy handles, but he's short. He's like a maturation of you mixed in Allen Iverson, you gave a little bit of Rod Strickland, and this guy can do a little bit of all of it, and it's really impressive to see.
oh yeah. The greatest handles of any basketball player that's ever played this game in the NBA,
One
Kyrie
hundred
Irving.
percent,
It's
one hundred
oh yeah, it's
percent.
just incredible.
One of the other things I like is that Kyrie, although he's a very good 3-point shooter, the guy's obviously, shooting almost 40% at 38% from 3-point land. He doesn't settle for the three. And that's something I really like. And you see he gets to the foul line a lot. He initiates
Yeah,
contact. He has the best English of any guy
oh,
you've ever seen
yeah,
going to the rack. And he's shooting
crazy.
90% from the free throw line. These are
Hmm.
all good positives. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, he has a mid-range game. He has a three-point game. He can get to the whole finish, even as short as he is compared to other NBA players. He'll finish at the rim. I mean, the dude's incredible. There's other than defense, there's really not much he can. And even with the defense, even though he's not a great defender, you can see him out there trying. He's hustling. It's not like he just gives up on the defensive end. I mean, he's a top player. I mean, the man, nobody, I haven't seen anybody be able to do the things that he can do out there on that court.
Definitely. And even when you talk about the defense, you don't see teams headhunting Kyrie. He's not a player that headhunt like a Steph Curry or a Trey Young or some of
Yeah,
these other guys that they headhunt them because they're not good defenders. You don't see that with Kyrie. To your point,
no.
you see the effort, and he even plays the passing lanes pretty well. Not big on
Hmm.
steals, but he will get them. One of the things that
Yeah.
kind of concerns me as we kind of jump ahead and talk about Kyrie, love the fact that his NBA 2K rating is 95, which I think is spot on. But I'm
Hmm.
scratching my head on this ranking for the top 100. I'm really scratching my head. In some instances, I've seen him been ranked as at 35. I'm like, how do you rank Kyrie Irving 35? I mean,
Yeah.
are we making it personal or are we talking about what the guy does on the court?
Yeah, it's crazy. ESPN, I think, has him ranked at like 34 or something like that.
Right.
Just something crazy. There's not 33 other players in the league better than Kyrie Irving. It just doesn't make sense at all. So
Especially when you start talking about guards. I
yeah,
can't name 30 guards ahead of him. I
I
have a
can't
hard
name
time giving maybe 4 guys ahead of him.
exactly. I can't name 33 players, regardless, that are better than Kyrie Irving in the NBA. That's just crazy. So I don't know, man. I think they're way off on that one.
What I see with Kyrie is kind of what we used to see with players like Dennis Rodman, where guys are really exceptional players, but because they have off the court baggage, that gets held
Hmm.
against them as far as what they do on the court and how they are perceived or viewed. And he is a mercurial guy. He's a different dude,
Yeah.
but he does bring it every time he shows up. I know Stephen A. Smith is always hard on him, saying that he doesn't want to play half the season. I
Hmm.
think that is what it is. Shoot, he's not the only one. Kawhi Leonard,
Yeah.
he's always sitting out.
Kawhi
So,
Leonard does.
if you're gonna be hard on Kyrie, you gotta be hard on everybody else.
Yeah, sometimes with Kawhi, I forget he's even in the NBA anymore. I mean, the man just doesn't play. But Kyrie Irving, yeah, you just have to give it up. And the stuff off the court, that has nothing to do with on the court. I mean, the Kyrie is not like he's out beating anybody, he's not shooting anybody, he's not getting in trouble with the police. He has his little quirky ways and everything, but he's not hurting the game. I mean, so what? He didn't want to go get vaccinated. That's his business. He didn't have to. So I
Right.
mean, Kyrie Irving, when he's out there, he's in the game. He's one of the best in the league, and they shouldn't hold that other stuff against him. It should be based off of basketball. How are you when you're out there? And when he's out there, he's one of the best. When he's on the court, he's usually one of the top one or two people on that court. So
I think it's unfortunate he gets categorized as not being a winner from the beginning part of his tenure with the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you look at that Cavs squad, and of course they did add LeBron James, which is a big deal,
hmm
but prior to LeBron being there, you're not working with much. and you're dealing with a rookie in Deion Waiters that shows up, a rookie in Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a lot of injuries and instability from coaching and everything like that. That's not a situation where you saw great success. Let's be honest. I love LeBron. He didn't have a lot of success in Cleveland as far as actually winning a championship.
Yeah.
Getting to the playoffs consistently, yes. But as far as getting over the hump and winning a championship, that didn't happen until later on. Just like it did for Kyrie.
Yeah, and when he won that championship with Cleveland, he had Kyrie on the team with him. And Kyrie in that playoffs, he was playing just as good as LeBron. LeBron would get 30, Kyrie would have 30. So I mean, Kyrie was hitting big shots. I mean, a lot of that, yeah, you give LeBron credit, but you got to give Kyrie the same amount of credit as you giving LeBron for that championship.
Definitely. You can see his impact when you look at 2015. If Kyrie Irving isn't injured, who's to say the Cavs don't win, even without Kevin Love?
Yeah.
I mean, because he was giving Steph Curry fits.
Oh, yeah.
So with all that being said, let's talk about his running mate in Luka the Don. This is a player that both of us like a lot. What are the numbers telling you about Luka Doncic?
All right, well, Luka Doncic, I mean, incredible player. One of the best in the league, 32 points a game, 8.6 rebounds, 8 assists. I mean, you can't beat that. Now, one of the problems that Luka Doncic has is turnovers. He's almost getting 4 turnovers, around 3.6 turnovers a game. That's really what's hurting him, is turning the ball over. But other than that, I mean, he's a great player. Just got to get over those turnovers.
I agree 100%. When you're talking about averaging almost 4 turnovers and 8 assists, now your 8 assists is actually cut down to half. You're really giving up 4 assists.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that's going to help this season is them having a chance to play together in jail and decide who's going to initiate the offense. I think I would rather have Kyrie bring the ball up and initiate the offense and then let Luka play from there. I mean, this guy can score at all 3 levels. He can give it to you in the paint. He can give it to you off the dribble.
Yeah.
He can shoot the mid-range. He can shoot the 3.
Yeah.
He's just such a fun player to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Cuban, you got to feel like the luckiest guy in the world. You get Dirk Nowitzki to retire, and then you fleece the Hawks out of Luka Doncic. I mean, and what's crazy is he fleeced Milwaukee out of Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah. I know the Hawks are looking at this like, what is going on? Why did I do this? This is crazy. That was just, that was so ridiculous. But I think the biggest thing that's really going to help, Luka, help the Dallas Mavericks, is the fact that they're building a team around Luka and Kyrie. Now they have defensive players, on that team. They got a rookie that came in that's a defensive player, and they got Williams, defensive players. So they're adding defensive players around them, and I think that's what they need, because Kyrie and Luka Doncic are going to take the majority of the shots. They're going to get the majority of the points. It's going to be like an Allen Iverson with his team. He had a bunch of defenders, and it was Iverson. Well, this time you're going to have a bunch of defenders, but you're going to have Luka and Kyrie. So that's going to be wild. And once Luka and Kyrie learn to play together, oh man, that's going to be wild. That's going to be crazy.
It's going to be scary. I mean, to me, it's going to be just as scary as Kyrie and LeBron, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, Luka's game is different, but when Luka's coming through in the paint, you don't really want to take a charge from that big guy. That's for sure.
Exactly.
So it's going to be really interesting. And like you said, you did lose Dorian Finney-Smith, who was one of your top defenders, and also a guy that was a 3-and-D guy, so you will miss him.
Yeah.
But I think it was an upgrade bringing in Grant Williams.
Yeah.
He didn't get as much playing time as Finney-Smith as he did last year, but I think Grant Williams is potentially an upgrade to Dorian Finney-Smith. What do you think?
Oh, yeah. Grant Williams is a beast out there, and he's going to really help anchor that defense. They brought in Derek Lively, the rookie Derek Lively. He's going to really help with their defense. So I think they're looking at it, and they saw that they were real. It was a soft team last year, and they saw that, I mean, they might score 110 points on somebody, and the other team's going to score 130. So
Right.
Yeah, so they know they really need to get their defense together, and they're doing that. So, yeah, I got to give them a lot of credit with that. I think their record is going to be better. They're going to be over 500, I believe, this season, and I believe they're a playoff team. So
I agree with you 100%. The only loss that I kind of see that could potentially be a little bit of a setback, your bench is a little thin. Like you said, we had Finney-Smith go out. You lost Christian Wood to the Lakers, which I think was very underutilized in Dallas. But you have a great coach in Jason Williams. It's, obviously a player's coach, understands the game well, and I think that bodes well for them.
Yeah, well, what I think just like what we were talking about with Boston, and I said that Boston, they're gonna, with their picks that they have available, they're gonna be looking to upgrade their roster, or upgrade their bench. I think Dallas is gonna do the same thing. Now, Dallas doesn't have as much as Boston has available. They do have some picks. They have a 2027 pick. They do have some picks that they can throw out there. And then I really think that they're going to be shopping Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. has, I think, like 16 million left on his contract. I think they're going to be looking to shop that around. So we'll see what happens with that.
I'm glad you mentioned Tim Hardaway, one of my favorite players. I liked him when he was with the Hawks. I felt like they kind of moved on from him too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I've liked what he's done for Dallas, and that is kind of your best piece
Yeah.
to better your team, because you did empty the cupboard a little bit to bring in Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you can turn Tim Hardaway into possibly going to a team like Orlando or a team like Charlotte that's kind of on the cusp, and maybe bring back some of those guys like a PJ Washington they don't want anymore, or some of these guys that they've considered headaches.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the perfect mix for you right there, bringing in some of those guys. Not that's why I said Charlotte's got a couple guys that I think that they will shop for the right price that don't gel well with LaMelo.
Yeah, and that's going to be their best bet. That's going to be their only trading option right now, is to see what they can get for Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean, he can ball, he can put points on the board also, and there's teams all around the league that need somebody like that. Whether he's a starter or whether he's coming off the bench, he can really help a lot of different teams. So Dallas is going to have to look for that, use that to kind of help bolster their bench a little bit. Maybe they can get two, 3 guys, and throw in a pick, Tim Hardaway Jr. in a pick or something like that to kind of bolster it up a little bit.
Well, I'll give you 2 teams, and I think Dallas will definitely going to be a player in the buy-in market, definitely for the buyout market. 2 teams I would try to talk to if I'm Mark Cuban. Number 1, the Detroit Pistons. They got a bunch of centers and forwards. You can give me one of these guys. Give me Bagley. Give me Wiseman. And this would be bad because Wiseman now will be on his 3rd team. But maybe this would be a good spot for him. We could actually get consistent minutes. They've got a lot of forwards. That's something that Dallas needs. Or even a team like the Blazers. And when I say, before I go to the Blazers, the Pistons, maybe you get Bogdanovich because they're not contending. And that guy wants to play for something. Or you go to a team like the Blazers and you walk away with a Jeremy Grant. A team like the Blazers, they press the reset button. And a guy like Jeremy Grant definitely will help you out. So that's kind of the guys I'll be looking at if I was in.
Well, most of those I think would be good decisions. I think the Wiseman thing wouldn't be a good decision. And the reason why I say that, is because they're trying to be tough this year. They're trying to get tough players on their team. Wiseman doesn't fit that role. Wiseman, from what I've seen, he's soft out there on the court, and that's not what they need. He has that little fake
James Wiseman. Number. If you see this, you looking for Mike the expert. You ain't looking for me. You looking for him. He want all the smoke from you.
Yeah. Well,
all the James Wiseman fans. Mike the expert want all that smoke when he told you the guy was soft.
Yeah, I had big hopes for James Wiseman on Golden State. I thought that he was going to be a big factor in what they're doing. It didn't work out. And he went to Detroit, and I watched him on Detroit, and he's not any better. I'm like, he's probably not going to even get much playing time on Detroit. He's definitely going to be coming off the bench. And when I see he doesn't play tough. He doesn't have that grit, that toughness. So I wouldn't go for him unless they just had to throw him in a package because I'm getting something else, some other gritty players, and they had to throw him in. Then I might take him or waive him or whatever. But James Wiseman, he just doesn't have it.
This is the reason why I said that. Remember what Christian Wood's reputation was before he got to Dallas. He had a little bit of a breakout in Houston. but he really broke out with Dallas.
Yeah.
So they've been able to prove they can actually take a guy that has low expectations and turn him into something. Or look at a team like the Magic.
Mm-hmm.
They took a guy in Markelle Fultz that everybody said was broken and turned him into a very serviceable player that's playing really strong and a good six-man right now.
Yeah.
So it can happen if you go to the right team, right situation, and you might look like a whole different guy.
Most definitely, but those are different type of players too. I mean, Markelle Fultz showed he is a talented player. He has skill. We don't know what happened to him mentally, but we knew he had skills to really do some damage in the league. You know, you had Christian Woods. Christian Woods had some toughness to him. You know, that toughness, you can't go learn that. That's just something that's got to be in you. James Wiseman hasn't shown, and don't get me wrong, all these guys can beat me any day of the week one-on-one in basketball. You know, I'm not even any of them could beat me any day of the week. But they're not going against me. They're going against other players in the league. James Wiseman, compared to his peers in the league, is soft. You know, so
well, maybe he'll make a turn like Rudy Hachimura. He looked soft in Washington and looked like a completely different player with the Lakers. So it could happen.
Even his jump shot looks soft. I mean, the man, oh man, I'm hoping that James Wiseman, can stay in the league. You know, because you look at a guy like Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown, he may not have been the best player in the league, but Kwame Brown was still tough. He still played defense. He may not have been the greatest offensive player. You know, they talk about his hands and small hands and all that stuff. I don't know nothing about all that. But what I do know is that he stayed in the league for a while because of his toughness, because he played defense. You know, that's what's going to keep James Wiseman in the league if he was able to do that. But right now, all it looks like is he just got that little bunny jump shot from the free throw line that looks weird that goes in every now and then. You know, we need more than that. So,
yeah, we'll definitely see when it comes to him. Shout out to Kwame Brown. I mean, the guy played, 15, 16 seasons? So that's a successful career.
Oh, yeah, Kwame Brown had a successful career. Yeah, you know, he wasn't this big star that everybody wanted.
He went from team to team, but if you can stay in the league over a decade, that's success.
Exactly. I mean, he played good, solid defense. And right now, Kwame Brown, you put him in the league right now, he'll still stay in the league for a long time because of that defense. He was tough. So, yeah, most definitely.
So we gave you our thoughts and opinions on the Dallas Mavericks. I think that they're going to go ahead and finish. I got them finishing like 6th. So I think they're going to avoid the play-in because I think that Luka and Kyrie will have time to bond. I have them going out possibly in the second round because there's so much competition in the West. You got the Suns, the Nuggets, you know, the Pelicans. If Zion is actually healthy, they're a big threat. So there's all these other threats. I think they're a little bit ahead of them. They have more pieces than what they have.
Yeah.
So I have them finishing 6th. What about you?
Well, it really depends. In the playoffs, it really depends on the matchup and who they get. Because I think, you know, even with Zion, I think they can beat the Pelicans. I think they actually can match up with Phoenix. Phoenix will probably beat them, but you know, they can take the Phoenix Suns to 7 games and possibly shock them and beat them. So I mean, right now I have them finishing, you know, 5th, 6th, you know, somewhere around there, depending on injuries and stuff like that. But I think the Dallas Mavericks might be able to shock some teams in the West.
You know who the Mavericks want to see in the playoffs?
Who?
Whose number they got?
Who?
They want to see the Clippers.
Oh yeah,
that's what they want to see.
I mean,
they seem to have the Clippers number.
Yeah, but the Clippers, their stars are going to be injured anyway, so it's not going to even mean anything. You know, Kawhi Leonard's not going to be out there, and you know, I don't care about that.
Paul George will be playing by himself. Will he be Paul George or George Paul?
One of them. One of them will be out.
Well, that's a story for another day. Come back and tune back in. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Denver Nuggets, and we're going to be talking about these guys and saying, can they repeat? Shout out to the Denver Nuggets. We actually have a personal friend that's a coach there. Yeah. So definitely tune in to hear what we got to say about that boy, Big Joker, and that guy, Porter Jr., Gordon, all these guys, KCP. We're going to lay it all down on wax for y'all. Tune in, like, share, subscribe. Mike, close us out. Where can they find us?
Like I say every time, you can find us everywhere on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Google us. You can find us. YouTube, definitely go on YouTube, look us up. You can find us everywhere. Two Player Sports Podcast. We are here. We are here to stay. Peace.